Hello everyone, welcome to another session of building chatbots with ubisend. So I'm just going to quickly edit the title of this stream if I can. I don't think I can actually because I've already started it. Okay, well I'm an idiot. Oh no, I can. Great. So, alright, this is episode 5 according to my little YouTube kind of FiMiGD. And we're building a restaurant chatbot, which is quite exciting. I think we're getting to the end of it. I have a couple of things that I want to do today. Like usual, I think I'll spend a little bit of time recapping what we've done so far, and then we will go through two main features today, I think, which I'll get into in a second. So we'll get to actually uploading documents, which I think is quite important for many industries and many use cases, not just for restaurants, obviously. And then we're going to go through training as well. So to recap, we're building a restaurant chatbot that helps potential patrons to find more information about what the restaurant does, what kind of food they have, what kind of tables they might be able to book. This particular restaurant allows us, or this particular chatbot, sorry, allows us to book a table, obviously. So I can book a table straight from there. I can say, well, you know, I'm ready to book right now. I don't have any specific requirements. I don't have any specific allergies or party sizes or dates that I really want to book. I'm just ready to book now. And so this basically takes me to a nice little widget here that allows me to book straight through OpenTable. So one of the things that we really looked at during, and we discussed quite a bit in the previous sessions, is you really want to create a chatbot that is central to the way that people actually use your website or your Facebook page or your Instagram page or whatever. And you really want to make sure that the experience is quite unified. So one of the annoying things that in my head a lot of chatbot platforms do wrong as compared to the ubisend platform is that they don't integrate enough with other services. And at the end of the day, what you want is to be able to provide an interaction to the user that is the least disruptive as possible. And so sure, you can create a whole booking experience within the chatbot, and we've actually done that as well. And I think it's a really valid way of going at it if you have very specific requirement at your restaurant, for instance, or that could be obviously for anything. If you have very specific requirement for the holiday booking system at your company, then within the builder, and we looked at that within the ubisend builder, you can build anything you want. So you can recreate really complex processes. Actually, we just released a new case study today, which is about an HR chatbot that basically turned their entire really complex, really cumbersome form and process of onboarding new employees, and we turn all of that into a really nice and simple conversational full-page bot, which you can see some images here about it here. I'll drop that link into the chat, just if you guys want to have a look. So all this to say that you can obviously create all of that, but when you don't need to, what you want to do is you want to provide the users with as much kind of friction-free interactions. And one of the ways to do that is just to provide the widget, just to provide the integration, just to provide the information, a button, whatever it is that you need to. So we talked a lot about that. We talked a lot about our conversational UX in general anyway, which I think is really important. All right, cool. I was just making sure that I could hear myself because I usually do a little voice check before going in, but I didn't do this time. All right, so what else did we do? We set up the FAQs, which is another really important part of the bot. So now if you say, ask us a question, you can actually go ahead and ask a question. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't really remember what kind of questions we set up. So I'm going to go and have a look. So I'm currently in the demo bot, which allows me to just test the bot. If I go into knowledge FAQs here, you can see the FAQs that we've set up. So, okay, yeah, we did a few FAQs. So we did something around booking tables, which obviously makes sense. Can I book a table? We did something about how spicy the food is. This fake restaurant is a Thai restaurant, so we want to make sure that people are comfortable with maybe quite intense spiciness. We did some stuff around St. Valentine's Days, Christmas opening, to cater for parties, and then we finished on creating a couple of FAQs around small talk intents, which I won't go into again because I did quite a fairly lengthy session about that last episode. So if you want to go back and watch that, go for it. Okay, and then we created one conversation, which is this booking a table conversation, which has quite a few good stuff, a few good things in here. So we have a nice little branching here. We just went through this one, so if you're ready to book, you can just book straight away. But if you have very specific requirements, it takes you down a really nice path of asking about the dietary requirements and how many people are coming in and what are you celebrating and all that sort of stuff. All sorts of information that the chatbot can collect and give to the head of the restaurant or whomever needs to manage all of that, and they can just basically book the table for them. All right, so something I want to do this episode is work with documents a little bit. So what I've done is I went ahead and I grabbed a template kind of PDF here, and as you can see, it has nothing to do with Asian food or Thai food. Sorry. So as you can see, it's potato wedges and chowder and clams and stuff like that. But the content obviously doesn't really matter, and you're not here to watch me design a PDF and make it perfect, because at the end of the day, that's not really what ubisend is all about. What I want to show you is how to use some of the features that we have. So there are really two features that I want to show you. So the first is this knowledge base feature. So the knowledge base is basically a way for you to upload content into the bot as chatbot content. So not as the PDF, but as chatbot content. So what I can do with this is I can basically import a lot of content from a website sitemap, for instance. I can do a sitemap import, which will basically go and find all of the content within this sitemap within a website, crawl all of it, and bring it all inside the knowledge. So if I went on to ubisend.com here, and there's text here, there's text here, there's text here, there's text everywhere, and then there are obviously many pages. So integrations page has loads of content. Every single integration has loads of content. We have a pricing page, we have blogs, we have loads and loads of pages across all of it. And what I could do is I could go into the sitemap, which I think is something like this, and I could go and find. I could basically tell my chatbot, go and find every single page. As you can see, they're all listed here, and with every single page, extract all of the written content from it and put it into our platform. So that would be the sitemap import. PDF import would be obviously doing the same, but by uploading a PDF. So same thing, you upload a PDF, 50-page document of employee handbook, for instance. The platform will go away and extract all of the content on every single page and make it available to the chatbot. And then finally, a manual import is basically doing the same thing, but manually, so you can type in and everything. So this is really super cool, because it allows you to bring a lot of content into the bot that you can use at various points of the bot's conversation. So if you wanted to import, again, let's say an employee HR handbook, you could actually use all of the content that's within it. Let's say a section about maternity leave, you could use that as part of the answer to a question around maternity leave. So when someone says, how much maternity leave do I get? You can say you get 30 days of maternity leave, and here's the section within the HR handbook where you can find it. Click, read that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import this PDF, this restaurant menu, and honestly, it's kind of a bad example for it, because it only has one page, and so it's a bit silly. But I'm going to do it anyway, because I think it's kind of fun to have a look at that. So I'm just going to upload this, and it's going to take a bit of time to import. So we're going to come back to that in a second. The other thing I want to do is I want to show you how you can use this PDF within the FAQs. So here we don't really have anything around menus, although we do have here. So maybe I'll grab this one, or I'll create a brand new one. So let's say send menu. No, what's the menu? Tell about the menu. Here we go. So I'm gonna create this tag for the menu. Ooh, I mistyped it. And menu. Here we go. And I'm gonna say, can you send me the menu? What is your menu? Can I see the menu? All right, so like last week, I'm basically creating an FAQ, which starts with naming the FAQ, giving it a little tag if you don't have one already for organizational purposes, giving it 3 ways of asking the same question. As you can see, can you send me the menu? what is your menu, can I see the menu, all of which obviously have the very exact same intent behind it, but they are just slightly different ways of asking the same question, which allows the chatbot to take these three away, create a little model around them, and make the bot understand moving forward kind of these slight variations between them, and also obviously slight variations across many kind of other ways of asking some question. Cool, so we can create this and then we can write some content around this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to send an action message. So an action message, as we've seen before, has a bit of text and it has nice big buttons like this. Yeah, so we've used this a few times. We've used this action message a few times already. So you can grab our what's the summer menu below. Okay, so a little bit of text. Obviously, this is now today's right now is the summer, so that's what I just wrote here. And then I can basically do a few things with the action message that I can't do with other messages. Namely, I can add buttons that do very specific things. So I can add a postback button, which we've used previously, and I'm not going to go through it again. But this basically allows me to send the user who pushes the button across different kind of conversations within the bot. So we've done that before, so we're not going to do it again. Then I can do a URL, which is basically saying, visit our website with a nice web page URL here. And I can do a file, and I can do a mail to button, which basically allows me to, as soon as I click it, it's just going to say, so send email, so that's the label of the button. And I can say, alex@ubisend.com is the email address. And as soon as someone clicks this button, it's going to open up their mail client on their app or their phone or their website, their desktop, and pre-fill this email address, this to email address within the app. And obviously I skipped quite quickly over the file one, which is obviously the one we're very interested in right now, which is the download one. So with this one I can say download now, for instance. So again, this is the label of the button, and what I can do is I can upload a file. Now obviously we've already uploaded the file, so I can go and have a look at it, and it's right here. So this is now uploaded onto, this file is uploaded onto our AWS, onto ubisend's kind of infrastructure for all the files. So because I've uploaded it already before, it's still obviously available here, so I can go back and use that. And then the final thing I can do here is I can say, I can still add a postback to each of these, which is kind of interesting. So what I can do is, when someone clicks this button, it says download now, that's the label of the button. It has this file attached, so that's the file that they're going to be able to reach when they click the button. And then here behind it, I can say, I can write a bit of keyword, let's say click the menu, for instance, that will trigger another conversation within the chatbot. So this could say, in this very specific example, we could have FAQ, can you show me your menu? Sure, click our menu below. Someone clicks the menu, it opens up the PDFs, they can read it, and when they come back to the bot, it will have taken them to another part of the conversation, which might be, looks like you're interested in our menu, would you like me to book you in for a table, or something like that. So it allows us to really move the user along within their conversation with the bot, which is really cool. So for now, I'm not going to put anything. I think this is just optional. You don't have to, but I think it's a really cool feature to think about. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the FAQ now, and at training. So I'm going to hit train here just to be safe. It could take a few minutes to train, so I'm just going to hit train for now. So what we've done is we've created a brand new FAQ about the menu. You can see it here. It's nice and ready. It has a few questions. It has one answer, and it's basically ready to go. Just because it really annoys me and it hurts my brain, I'm just going to go and delete that tag that I created, because that was really horrible. So I have menu and menu. So I'm just going to go away and delete this. Okay. Now let's have a look at training. All right, so let's have a quick look at this FAQ. So can you send me the menu? Let's go ahead and try that. Thinking. Okay, you can grab your menu, our menu below. So if I click this, it's going to open up a nice PDF here, which basically shows me the menu as the PDF. So as you can see, incredibly easy. Again, same principle as the rest, as what we've done with the table booking. We want to provide all of the information to the user as easily as possible. And so one way to do this would be to send it to a page on your website where you have the menu. Great, completely valid way of doing it. Another way of doing it is if you don't have it on your website somehow, you can put it as a button click. The real kind of benefit of doing this is you can also use this on many different channels. So if I wanted to, I could move this into an embedded bot, ask the very same question, download, and boom, I'm into the PDF again. I can go into a full page bot, ask the same question, click that, boom, I'm into the PDF. So again, as you can see, you can really use it across many of the channels. Now, one thing to consider when you use kind of more advanced features like that within the ubisend platform is you always want to go and have a look at the message types documentation. So within our documentation, so docs.ubisend.com, you can have a look at that. It's all public access, and I'm gonna put a link here below in the comments or in the chat if you'll have a look. So if you look for message types, you'll find this really kind of lengthy article about all of the type of messages that are available within the platform. And importantly, so this kind of shows you what these messages look like and shows you how to use them, etc., which is great. But another thing that it shows you is the compatibility across multiple channels. So obviously within ubisend we have not one, not two, not three, but I think over 30 channels that you can use. So if I go into engage channels, as you can see, I have 7 channels here at the top, but then another about 25 or so below here, and all of these work within the ubisend platform. So, or as when you build your bot, you can deploy them across all of these platforms. Now, some of them don't support some of the kind of message types that we provide with our own kind of channels, like the Converse, embedded, and full page bot. So it's always interesting to have a look at this. So if we were to send an action message, which is what we just did, and we were to deploy our chatbot onto Facebook Messenger, it would be absolutely compatible. That's great news. But the postbacks would not trigger behind a link or a file click. So that's important to know. So it means that the little thing we went through together earlier, or that I kind of got excited about, in here, this little field here, which would allow me to trigger another conversation in the backend as soon as someone has clicked the link, wouldn't work with if I wanted to have this on Facebook Messenger. Apparently, it wouldn't work either on Telegram or on Workplace or on Teams. So obviously, these are not ubisend issues, really. It just means that the external kind of mobile messaging platform doesn't support this, unfortunately. So we can't really do anything about it until they allow us to support it. But it does mean that it works. It also only supports 3 buttons, which is always important to know. Within the ubisend platform, you can add, I think, up to 5 of those buttons. Actually, more than that. 10. So you can add up to 10 buttons under here, which is good. That sometimes you need buttons. There's nothing else. There's nothing else about it. But it's good to know that some channels only support a certain amount of them. So just an FYI, we're obviously not going to deploy this restaurant chatbot onto Facebook Messenger because we don't really want to go there. But a lot of restaurants will want to do so, and so it's important as you're building the chatbot or you're building your own chatbot for your own restaurant that you must have a kind of an understanding of how the messages will translate across different channels. All right, so this is all working perfectly, so that's great. I'm going to keep testing on here. Oops, that's not correct. I just sent something random to the bot. Can you send me the menu? So the next thing I want to do after this is we're going to do a bit of training once we're done with the kind of file uploading and things. So for now, this obviously worked completely fine. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the knowledge base and what happened to our PDF. So this PDF only has 1 page. All right, so this PDF only has 1 page, which has been uploaded, and as you can see, it's all a bit of a mess. So if we have a look at the PDF itself, I'm just going to bring it up again. So this is the PDF, right? And it's all nice and designed, which is why most likely a lot of the content looks a bit out of place because it has these kind of funky fonts, it has a lot of images and stuff like that. So what the platform does its best to basically bring all of this content, extract it from the PDF and put it inside a kind of this what's it called, a word editing kind of tool. So all of the content is there. It just has this kind of weird spacing and stuff. So what you would do is you would basically go away and fix all of this content, which I'm not going to do live, obviously, because no one wants to see me do this. But it's important to see that, as you can see, I can basically super easily fix all of this. So I'm going to remove the spaces. I'm going to add some space here. I can make this as a bolded, or I can make this a header like this. I can make did a menu again. So this would be maybe a headline, a heading 3, for instance, slightly smaller. Did a menu, perfect. It's here. Potato wedges. So those would be our items on the menu that we can actually start eating or purchase. So again, we can edit all of that, and we can maybe do this, £16, and then I'm going to add like a nice little sentence about what this is all about. So I'm just going to do this one sentence, and I promise I'm going to stop because I know that you're not here for this. But this is basically allowing me to basically bring this content into the bot super simply. It's important to say that again, the PDF that I've imported has all of these funky images and funky fonts, which means that when it tries to import it, it obviously struggles a little bit to recognize everything. But it did recognize everything. It just kind of didn't recognize where the words were ending and where the words were commencing, which obviously brings a bit of an issue here and there. But ultimately, super easy to fix. Just go through it. You organize your content, and you are ready. So tender, here we go. Perfect. So here we go. So what we have here is we have the first, I'm going to change this one, dinner menu into, maybe I should do, I don't know why this one's not going down the next line. Here we go. So we have paragraph here, perfect. Oops, here we go. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to remove that because I don't really like it. And then we have our first kind of item. We have the price, potato wedges, £16. What I could do here is I could add an image if I wanted to. I could import an image in here. As you can see, I can make this all into nice looking kind of lists if I wanted to. So all of that's nice and easy to use. I can use basically all of the kind of the word processing tools that you might find elsewhere, and then just submit this revision, and now all of a sudden this new version is available. We can approve this version, and this is now the main resource for this FAQ. And so now I can create FAQs around this. So that would allow me to say, all right, well, potato wedges, this is £16. So what I could do is I could create an FAQ that is like, what is the cost of your potato wedges? And I could tie this content back to the FAQ. And again, this is kind of a more specific process and more complex process that I could get into with ubisend. But it is a really, really unique feature that we have, which allows you to bring all of your content into the bot, create FAQs around it, cross-reference it with the actual source of this content. And so pretty incredible to have all of that within one tool. Okay, so what I really wanted to do, the first thing I really wanted to do in this session was go through the file uploading and the file importing. So we kind of went through this by creating an FAQ, which allows us to actually send the menu across. I'm going to basically add the menu here again because I think it would make sense to have it here. So upload a file, just to show you again how you do it. Download now. Oh, sorry, what is this? Oh, I thought we had a. Yeah, so I'm going to do it at this one. Please inquire below to book your event. Feel free to browse our menu as well. And so we've already added a party booking inquiry, so that's a postback. We've discussed this already. So the other thing I can do now is add a file. I'll go and find the file, download now. All right, save this. Okay, and so I'm not going to go and have a look at what the FAQ is. Let's go and do you cater for parties? Okay, so now we have these two buttons. The first one, I don't think we tied anything to this conversation, is just kind of an example. And the second one same thing as earlier. We can actually go and check out the PDF here. Perfect. All right. So this was kind of the first half of the session that I wanted to do today. The second half that I want to go through is training. Training is super important for a bot, as I'm sure you're aware. As you're creating a bot, excuse me, talking too much today. As you're creating a bot, what you're basically creating is a brand new piece of software, which does rely on intelligence to really function properly. And as we all know, we don't really get born with intelligence. We have a lot of the faculties for it, but we do need a bit of training. We do need a little bit of education for it to work properly. And it's kind of the same thing with a chatbot, really. We can input as much content as we want into the bot. We can try and train it as much as we want. Ultimately, with all of the all of the tools in the world, what you do need to do is you need to train it. You need to train your bot to understand more and more. The more you train it, the better it gets. The better it gets, the better it answers to customers, the better it answers to customers or employees or whatever, the better it performs, and the more it's loved throughout, and the more it's actually achieving what you want it to achieve. And so one of the key things that you need to do as you create your bot is obviously first create the bot, import all of the content, create all of the FAQs and the conversation builder, etc., etc. But then the second thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you actually train your bot yourself. There are quite a few ways of training your bot, and I think they are all very valid. I think I like to picture training as a really three-phased approach, which basically looks like this. So it starts by creating the FAQs, so that's kind of phase 0. Obviously, you want to have content inside your bot to be able to train it. So that's phase 0. So you create all of these FAQs like we have here. So we have now 10 FAQs or so. Perfect. The bot has some knowledge. And if I go and click copy this into the bot, and I just ask this question exactly, it's going to say, unfortunately, we're already fully booked this year. So this is working. This is working. So that's kind of phase 0. You want that. You want kind of this baseline. Phase 1 is training it yourself. As the chatbot owner or the chatbot builder or the ubisend partner or whoever it is that you are building this, you know what this bot is supposed to talk about or be able to talk about. You know what this bot is supposed to be able to understand and respond to people. So the first kind of phase of training will have to rely on you. So do you have a St. Valentine's menu is a very nice and polite way of asking the question, but you know, because of your own kind of experience within your client or your own company, that people are likely to ask like St. V menu, something like that, you know. And obviously, oh, there you go. So you'd actually pick this one up. So that's interesting. But all right, let's pick another one up. Can you do St. Valentine's dinner? Let's try and see if, okay, it's still picking them up. All right, our NLP is just doing really, really well today. Valentine's menu for this year? Question mark. Okay, it keeps picking them up, so it's just trying to really make a fool out of me. So this is really great because obviously we do have the NLP in the background that is supposed to pick up the majority of the kind of the misspelling or the varying different ways of asking the same question, which is it's doing its job really perfectly right now, and I'm struggling to break it. But what you basically want to be thinking of is all of these kind of variant ways of asking the same question, and try and break it basically yourself, because you know what you've programmed it, you know what the bot is supposed to answer. And this is kind of this phase 1, which hopefully we'll get to using some other FAQs in a second. Phase 2 is getting it to your client. So if you are a ubisend partner and you are building this for your client, you want to have done phase 1 first. Make sure that you've kind of ironed out all of the kinks that you know need to be ironed out. The easy stuff you want to have that captured and done. But then phase 2 is really saying, all right, here, customer, have a look, go and play with the bot, try and ask all of the questions that you think it should be able to answer, and I'll basically train it for a couple of weeks. So this is a really, really important phase, because this is kind of the first time that you introduce an external piece of, an external person to the bot, and that person presumably doesn't know how you trained it, so it doesn't have this kind of preconceived notion of what the bot is supposed to be able to understand or capture. So it's really, really interesting, and I would suggest doing that for about 2 weeks. And the final phase 3 is obviously making it to the actual end customer and putting the chatbot live. When you put the chatbot live, for the first 3-4 weeks, I would suggest having pretty intense training, watching the training section, like we're going to have a look at it in a second, like a hawk, to make sure that you're really on point with your training and improving your bot incrementally throughout these 4 weeks. And then once that's done, you're basically you're not done, because you're never done training a bot, but you're pretty much done with 90% of the training that you need to do, because you'll have had trained it yourself, you'll have had your customer train it, you'll have had your users talk to it with all of their variant little ways of asking questions, and you've basically trained throughout this entire period, which might be 6 weeks till total. And by now the bot is basically really, really good. Should be able to answer 70 to 80% of the inquiries by itself without any issues. Alright, so let's do a little bit of training ourselves, because I think that's kind of what I wanted to get to in this session. So we have a lot of, we have some FAQs around St. Valentine's Day, Christmas, parties, etc., etc. So let me have a quick look, because I keep getting messaged on our little chat thing. So I just want to make sure that I'm not. Okay, here we go. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't someone telling me that my microphone is broken or anything. All right. So let's go and try to break it. So are you open on Christmas? So this should not break it, because it's obviously a pretty, I just copy pasted the exact match. Okay, so our restaurant is open. Do you have availabilities on Christmas? It'd be pretty interesting if we went through an entire session. Okay, I was going to say if we went through an entire session without breaking it. But we did, so we managed to break it. So do you have availabilities on Christmas? The bot didn't understand that. So that's great. That's exactly what we want. As part of phase 1, that's what we want. We want to look at the original kind of sentence that we trained our bot to understand, and then we really want to kind of riff on different variant ways of asking these questions. So let's keep going. So are you, do you open on Christmas? Do you serve people on Xmas? So that's an interesting one. Probably wouldn't understand that. It understood this previous one, so that's good. Xmas reservations. I want to make. So that's an interesting one. It didn't understand Christmas, but it understood as St. Valentine's reservation. So we'll have a look at that and remap this intent. So that's an interesting one. I want to make reservations for Christmas. Didn't understand. I want to eat at your restaurant on Christmas. Do you have a Christmas menu? What do you serve on Christmas? Do you have a specific menu for Christmas? Oh, it's kind of similar to the previous one, I suppose. Okay, so that's quite a few. So what I can do now is I can go into the training facility of the ubisend platform. So obviously throughout this conversation, it understood 1, it understood 2, it understood 3 out of the maybe 10 that we kind of sent to the bot, which is great. This is the ones you want to catch on early. So if I go into training, as you can see, I have a nice little table here that basically shows me all of these messages that I've sent to the bot. What this table shows me, obviously it's ordered or it's filtered through a specific kind of time frame, so all the way to the 13th of July, which is today. And it's basically saying, it's basically giving me quite important information. So it's giving me the message that that the bot received. So do you have a specific menu for Christmas? That's the message that I sent. Then it shows us what the bot has understood the message as. So here, children catering. And then it shows us what the bot's confidence was that the specific message he received, or it received, actually matched with what it understood it as. So in this instance, what we have is, do you have a specific menu for Christmas? The chatbot had a 28% confidence that it was about children catering. Or I guess I should have called that catering for children. Which is obviously, these are not correct, so it misunderstood this, but it only had a 28% confidence rate, so it wasn't really confident no matter what. So that's kind of interesting. So if we look at another one, what do you serve on Christmas? It understood this as Christmas, so that's good, but it only had a 28% confidence rate, so that's not good. That's surprising, so we want to train that. What else? I want to make reservations, that's kind of a similar one. Xmas reservations. It understood this as St. Valentine's, which is not correct, and it had a 75% confidence rate. That's really not good. So we really want to make sure that we train that. Do you open on Christmas? It understood it as Christmas, gave it a 72% confidence rate. Pretty good, really high, but we really want to make sure that we improve the chatbot's confidence on this. So what we can do, as you can see now, you understand kind of how this table works. What we can do out of all of this is we can do one of three things. We can tell to the bot correct, which is this nice green button here, which basically says, this message here that I've just highlighted, you understood this as this intent, your confidence score was quite low, just increase it because you're actually correct. So if I were to click correct here, it would, moving forward, understand this sentence as related to this FAQ, which obviously would not be correct. I can hit ignore, which is basically saying, don't think about this message, it doesn't matter. I don't want you to train you to understand this message. So a good example here is I've obviously mistyped here and sent our docs to the bot, and it understood this as saying Valentine's Day for some reason. 62%, and really what I'm doing here is I don't really want this bot to understand this this sentence at all. I don't want to train it as that at all. So I can just do is I can hit ignore. Cool, so now that's gone. It's not learning anything about this. So another one that we can do, the third thing we can do is this nice little purple button here, is explore, which is basically remapping. So in this instance, again, we have a specific menu about Christmas. It understood this as children catering, which is obviously not correct. So what we want to do is we want to say, well, this isn't correct, but what you should have understood this as is explore and Christmas here, which the bot only had a 16% confidence score for. But I can update that and basically say, next time you encounter this sentence, make sure that you understand this as the Christmas one. And so really what I want to do is I want to work through this entire kind of training sheet here and just do the same thing throughout. So what do you serve on Christmas? It understood this as Christmas, but it only had a 28% confidence rate, so that's not enough. And basically what we've set up, if you remember, in the fallback settings, we've set up a, actually I turned it off the other day, we've set up a minimum of 50% confidence rate. So if anything is below 50%, the bot is just going to say, sorry, I don't know, which is why it didn't respond to this. So even though it was the right one. So what I want to do is I want to say, listen, this was correct. So next time, just bring up your confidence score. So I can hit correct here. Do you have a Christmas menu? So children catering, obviously not correct. So I'm going to go ahead and explore. Christmas was third on the list, 18%. I can hit update here, and that's going to automatically remap this, what we call an utterance. So this sentence sent from the user to what we call an intent, which is the FAQ that's in the background. I want to eat at your restaurant for Christmas. Understood this perfectly, only 35% confidence score, so we're going to raise that up by hitting correct. Now obviously, as you can see, there's quite a lot of them, and when you first launch, depending on how popular your business or your chatbot is, you might have pages upon pages upon pages of training to do. So what you might want to do is you might want to say, let's find all of the correct ones. So this was correct, this was correct, this was correct, this was correct. Can you do something? This was correct. Okay, all of those were correct. I can hit correct here, and now I've trained all of them at once. I'm going to finally, okay, this one was correct as well. Sorry, I didn't see it. Correct. Now these last two ones, they're obviously not correct. This one particularly surprised me. So 75% understood this as St. Valentine's, so that's not good at all. So we really want to make sure that we go and update this. As usual, my dog is coming to say hi. Wouldn't be a drop-in session without Mina saying hi. Final one, do you serve people on Christmas? Not correct. Explore this. Christmas update, and we're done. Now, the final thing I want to show you before we kind of wrap this up is if I go back into my FAQs here, what this basically does when you're training the bot with all of these nice utterances is if I go into my FAQ about Christmas, which is here, and I go and see the questions, you'll see that the new ones that I've just trained have been added to the model, and you can see them listed here. This is very, very important because it means that not only your training has worked, but you can also see exactly what's been going on with your bot. If you have multiple people on your team, you might eventually wonder why this FAQ keeps getting triggered by a random question. You can go back and have a look at all of the utterances that this specific FAQ has been trained on, and that's really, really valuable. So as you can see, the first three ones start with a capital letter, which kind of is an indicator to me that those are the ones I created initially within the FAQ, because I always start my sentences with a capital letter. But when I actually talk to the bot, I usually just type kind of like a normal chat type of interaction, which means that I don't have capital letters. So you can really see that all of these ones here below have all been added to the bot as utterances. So next time, it's not taking only I'm showing with my fingers like an idiot. It's not going to take only these top 3 sentences and create a model around it. It's actually added all of these 10 other sentences into the same model. And so now moving forward, it's going to understand Christmas, sure, as the kind of the main word out of all of this. But it's also going to start picking up on Xmas, which is really cool. Or do you serve people on Xmas and all that sort of stuff. So it's really improving and expanding this its knowledge around this one FAQ. And obviously, what will happen eventually is, as you have 30, 50, 50, 60 FAQs, 100 FAQs, and all of which have 10, 20, 30 trained utterances, eventually you reach a point where your bot is fully built and it is pretty much never having an issue answering any question, and you can just have all of these FAQs automated out of the way. You don't have to worry about any of that. You can focus on deep work and deep and valuable work. Okay, so I think this kind of wraps things up. What we did today, we went through uploading files within the platform, which would allow you to the kind of the design of the PDF that I've imported. If you can really imagine that if you imported an employee handbook, which is just a pure PDF with like white background and simple text, it would obviously look pretty simple for the platform to import. So we didn't really use this thing too much, because I think it kind of goes into quite a lot of depth about how to use this, but there is a lot of information on how to do that within the platform. So if you want to look at what the knowledge base allows you to do, you can read all about it here, which is really cool. I'll link that into the comments as well. And then finally, we looked at training, which is a really important part of building a bot. And we trained one FAQ quite a bit. We learned how all of that works. And I think what we've pretty much done is we've pretty much finished the bot. What I want to do is maybe next session I'll start a new bot, or I'll finish up with some other bits that I'd like to do with this one that I can't really think of right now. So I think right now it is kind of in a nice place for this bot. So I'm going to leave it at that potentially, but just so you know, maybe next session we'll do a little bit more on this one. Cool, that's it. Thank you all for attending. I'm available if you have any questions. If you'd like to learn more about the ubisend platform, just visit ubisend.com and put up an inquiry to talk to us, or reach out to myself, alex@ubisend.com. Always available to help. All right, speak to you soon.